What if I were to tell you that the only thing between you and your dream life is how you behave today? Not your talent, not your background, not your circumstances, just your attitude, just your expectations, just your choice to behave as if you're already there. Because champions don't wait to be the best. They behave like it way before anyone else believes in them. This is ordinary and legendary. Success starts with posture, not position. The majority of individuals hold back for a title, a salary, or other people's permission before they can stand tall. In reality, your posture, how you carry yourself psychologically, emotionally, physically, is the initial and most obvious cue to the world about how seriously you take your life in trophy to stride like a champion. You don't require applause to communicate with conviction. And you definitely don't require a nameplate to perform with intention. Position is assigned to you by others, but posture is yours to select. How you sit, how you listen, how you articulate in a meeting, even if you're new to it all, tells everything about where you intend to go. Success is not about faking it, it's about being aligned, bringing your existing behavior into alignment with the future you're creating. That future version of you, the one who has influence, income, and impact. How do they walk through a room? Do they slouch, mumble, fumble, or hesitate? Or do they walk in ready, calm, present, and on purpose? Posture is a habit. And to be successful, you need to practice that habit every day. Before it's seen by everybody else, you must see it by yourself. You might have all the ability on earth, but if you are out there thinking you don't belong, the world will treat you the same way. But a person with mediocre ability with confident posture will usually end up going further, sooner. Why? Because people react to confidence, not arrogance, confidence. That quiet confidence that proclaims, I've done the work, I'm ready, I'm here. That kind of stance opens doors that talent alone won't. It demands attention without having to yell for it. It inspires respect without pleading for it. And it gains trust without requiring a resume inch thick. You see, customers are not merely purchasing your service, your idea, or your product. They're purchasing you, your energy, your conviction, your belief. And if you come into every room, every phone call, every decision with that inner authority, the kind that says, I may not be there yet, but I'm walking like I am, you change the way people view you. You begin to attract the types of conversations, networks, and decisions that success resides within. No, it's not magic. It's posture. And posture begins inside, not outside. This is why achievement is not primarily about talent or timing. Those are important, but posture is what puts you in position for both. The inner alignment, the tone of voice, the manner in which you talk about your aspirations, the manner in which you treat other people, the way you treat your time. All of it is posture. And that posture welcomes success or keeps it away. It's a subtle thing, but it's very powerful. Consider it. Would you hire a pilot who appears uncertain? A physician who pauses in mid-sentence? A trainer who shrugs their shoulders? Chances are not, because body language speaks of certainty, preparedness, and trustworthiness. And success favors those who embody those attributes on a daily basis. Next, let's consider the second point. Confidence is established through action rather than waiting. The majority of individuals are sitting around waiting to feel ready before making the initial step. They wait for inspiration, motivation, or a break. But here's the thing. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you develop. And like any other muscle, the only way to build it is by using it. Repetition, movement, stretching past your comfort zone. Every time you act, particularly when you're not feeling ready, you're voting for your future self. You're demonstrating to yourself that you can do it, even though you're frightened, not sure, and inexperienced. Confidence does not happen from reading about it. It doesn't happen from daydreaming about it. Confidence happens by doing it. You begin with small steps, you get present, you stumble, you try once more, and every time you do, your internal system gets the message. We're doing this now, we're going forward. That's how faith is created. Not in the comfort zone, but in the growth zone. You won't feel faith until after you act. That's the lie that holds people back. But when you act, you provide your brain and body with evidence that you're becoming the type of person who gets things done. The type of person who takes action. The type of person who doesn't shy away from challenge, but moves into it. You need to learn to honor the process of gaining confidence. It's not glamorous. It's not always enjoyable, but it's strong. You'll fall short. You'll screw up. But in all of it, you'll come to see something amazing. Your confidence isn't founded on results. It's founded on integrity with yourself. Did you show up today? Did you deliver? Did you do your best even when nobody was looking? That is what creates true confidence. The kind that never wavers when things get hard. The issue is, folks get confused and think confidence and arrogance are the same thing. They are not even in the same ballpark. Arrogance is boisterous, desperate, and insecure. Confidence is soft-spoken, consistent, and earned. It's what keeps you from needing to proclaim your worth because you've already achieved it. It's what keeps you from being afraid to do something new because you've learned that failure is an extension of your growth. It's what keeps you from feeling threatened to help someone else ascend because you're in your own path. And the most important part, action does not equal perfection. It simply means forward. Answer the call. Send the message. Attend the meeting. Tape the video. Write the first chapter. Make the first move. That is how you win. One choice at a time. One tiny act of courage after another. Before you know it, you look up and find you've become someone you used to admire. Not through luck, not through talent, but by acting your way into strength. You moved your way into believing. You worked your way into confidence, and it all starts the day you stop waiting and begin doing. You act like the best by taking responsibility. That's where the change occurs. That's when you cease blaming your environment, upbringing, and circumstances, and begin taking responsibility for your decisions. Those who become great do not wait to be saved. They take over. And by control, I don't mean that you can control everything that happens to you, but that you are fully in charge of how you react, how you grow, and how you lead yourself forward. There's a moment in each person's life when they must ask themselves, am I going to let life mold me, or am I going to mold my life? And those who opt to play it like the best step into that role, not because it's easy, but because it's required. They grasp that responsibility is not a burden, it's an honor. It's the moment when you think that you have power, it means you think that your choices count. And when you think that, you start to live with purpose. You communicate with intention, you arrive with reliability. Because you're not only playing the game, you're coaching yourself through it. Accountability looks like getting up early, not because it's instructed, but because you've determined your time is valuable. It involves keeping your word, even those promises you made to yourself quietly. It involves doing the mundane things, the difficult things, the inconvenient things, because you know that those are the very things that build character. Being like the best is a decision to live at a higher standard, not to impress others, but to impress something in yourself. A sense of duty, a sense of pride in how you live, how you think, and how you lead your own life. The best don't wait for someone to push them. They push themselves. They don't need a deadline to act. They live with urgency. They don't need praise to do the right thing. They're driven by internal integrity. That's what distinguishes them. Accountability is what takes a dream and adds definition. It's what turns potential into achievement. It's what converts excuses into results. You can't behave like the best while living as a victim. You can't anticipate top results while shunning accountability. And here's the truth. The only thing that will change is when you take it upon yourself to make your life your responsibility. You don't require optimum circumstances. You require a choice. The commitment to no longer accept your own excuses. The commitment to do it anyway, even when it's difficult. The commitment to learn what you don't know, strengthen what you are weak at, and expand in the areas where you've been running away. That's what responsibility actually is. A commitment not to stay the same. A profound commitment to yourself in the future. It's looking into the mirror and saying, no more waiting. I'm in control now. And when you produce like the best, you become the type of human who makes things happen rather than wait for them. You become the type of human others depend on rather than the type who must be reminded. You become a leader in your own life rather than merely a follower of fate. That's the attitude that raises everything around you. That's the transition from ordinary to extraordinary. It's not about doing more. It's about being more. Your mindset, your vibration, your results. That's the basis of behaving like the best. Preparation invites the opportunity success demands. Simple to get stoked on dreams. Simple to see in your mind a wonderful future. but it's those who actually experience it who prepare when nobody's looking. Success does not arrive for those who merely wish for it. It arrives for those who are prepared when it does knock. And it never knocks loudly. It comes in disguise, in subtle moments, in fleeting windows of possibility. And if you are not ready, it goes by. Preparation is the quiet work behind the scenes. It's the additional hour of practice, the pages that you read when nobody else is awake, the questions you ask when nobody is looking. It's learning your craft, understanding your numbers, honing your skills, and sharpening your mind every day. Not when you want to, but because your future depends on it. And the thing is, if you need to be trusted with the big stuff, you must demonstrate that you can handle the little stuff. That's what preparation does. It creates trust between you and your aspiration. You can't wait for the opportunity to arrive before you begin preparing. You must live in a state of readiness. Each day, question yourself, today being the day the door opened. Could I walk through it confidently? Would I be informed, equipped, prepared, and aligned? Or would I have to stall, delay, or panic? The best don't play risk with opportunity. They prepare well ahead of time for it. And when it comes, they walk into it seamlessly, not because they are lucky, but because they are prepared. Preparation creates faith. With each time you study, train, hone, and get better, you're investing in your own respect for yourself. You start trusting yourself. You lose the second guessing. You lose the hesitation. You walk differently, not because you were pretending, but because you know. You know the effort you've put in. You know the hours that you've spent. You know what's below the surface, and that confidence shines. You have to realize that the world pays for being prepared, not for being desperate, not for having potential, being prepared. When opportunity knocks, the prepared one will be selected. When there is consideration for a promotion, the prepared individual will be selected. When a moment calls for leadership, the prepared one will answer. It doesn't matter how much you want it. If you haven't prepared to have it, you won't be able to hold on to it. You can stumble over success, but if you have no preparation, you won't be able to manage it. The greatest live with a preparation attitude. They prepare when nobody applauds. They learn when nobody is instructing. They challenge themselves more than they must because they understand preparation is not for today. It's tomorrow. It's what creates their advantage. It's what maintains their acuteness. It's what isolates them in a room full of individuals who are only wishing. You have to start considering each day as a training ground for the future. Every task, every challenge, every failure, it's all part of your training. If you take it seriously, it will mold you. If you take it lightly, it will cost you. You have to earn the right to succeed. And that earning is done in quiet, in loneliness, in the unglamorous drudgery of persistent effort. That's the way. That's the attitude. That's the key to being prepared when your time arrives. Standard and discipline are what make the best, not just talent. Talent may open the door, but discipline is what keeps you there. It's what creates consistency. It's what differentiates those who get up once from those who remain on top. You can be born talented, you can be intelligent, charismatic, even blessed. Oh, yet if you don't live with discipline, at some point you'll fall behind. The best are not the best because they always feel like doing hard work. They're the best because they've conditioned themselves to arrive no matter how they feel. Discipline is doing what you need to do, particularly when you don't want to do it. It means honoring your goals more than your mood. It's showing up for your workout, for your reading, for your learning, even when you're tired. It's staying late to finish the job, waking up early to stay ahead, sacrificing comfort for purpose. That's what builds greatness. The disciplined don't just set goals, they design habits. They understand that dreams are only reachable through daily, often repetitive, often boring effort. It's the integrity in the little things that creates the possibility for the big things. Standards are the expectations you hold yourself to when no one is looking. It's the standard at which you conduct yourself regardless of who is watching. The best hold themselves to a higher standard, not because someone expects it of them, but because they've elected to live that way. Their communication standard is clear, respectful, and deliberate. Their standard of effort is maximum, not minimum. Their standard of performance is excellence, not mediocrity. That's what creates separation. That's what makes them reliable. That's what builds a reputation you can be proud of. When you live with discipline and high standards, people notice, even if they never say it. They feel it. You become someone they can count on, someone they can trust. Not because you're perfect, but because you're reliable. Consistency is stronger than intensity when intensity is unreliable. Talent may arrive in bursts, but discipline arrives daily. And that daily discipline over time becomes identity. You begin to become someone who shows up, someone who doesn't give up, someone who's creating a life, not pursuing emotions. The truth is, talent without discipline is like a sports car without fuel. It looks good but doesn't move. It's impressive, but it can't go far. On the other hand, a disciplined person with average talent can outrun and outperform someone far more gifted simply because they keep moving forward. They stay in the game. They learn, they adapt, they grow. Because the disciplined mindset doesn't seek comfort, it seeks progress. Living with discipline also brings freedom. It sounds like the opposite, but it's true. Discipline liberates you from chaos, from regret, from last-minute desperation. It puts you in charge of your time, your emotions, your future. It lets you build momentum, create results, live with clarity. It takes work in the short term, but it pays off in the long term. And that's a trade the best are always happy to make. Discipline is not about being perfect, it's about order. It's about being a person who is there when it counts. It's about implementing systems so your future self doesn't have to depend on willpower. Because willpower deteriorates, emotion changes, but systems and standards stick around. And when you build your life on those things, you become solid, reliable, directed. That's how the best exist, not by happenstance, but by intention. Ownership takes the place of excuses in a winner's mentality. That's perhaps the greatest change anyone can make. The second you stop blaming others and begin to point the thumb, you start elevating your life to a new level. Winners don't say it wasn't my fault. Winners say, even if it wasn't, I'll own it anyway. Because they realize that blaming others gives away your power. Ownership, on the contrary, brings it back in. When you own it, you cease waiting for someone else to make it better. You become the fix. You cease relying on things to get better. You get better. You cease waiting for the team to work harder. You lead harder. That's what makes a difference. That's what generates influence. Ownership is about not merely noticing problems. You attack them. You don't merely complain about what's wrong. You make a commitment to getting it right. It's a mindset of accountability, of leadership, of moving forward. Excuses sound good at the time, but they cost you in the long run. They get you through the moment, but they keep you stuck. And the thing is, you can't build success on the foundation of excuses. It's crumbling. The winners understand that. They understand that the instant you begin defending your limitations, you begin accepting them. So they make a different decision. They respond, yes, it's tough, and I'm going to rise regardless. They respond, yes, other people have disappointed me, but I won't disappoint myself. That is power. That is control. That is the thinking of a person who will not settle. Taking ownership doesn't imply that everything's your fault. It implies that everything's your responsibility. Then that is a very different thing. You didn't get to choose your past, but you choose your future. You didn't generate every obstacle in your life, but you get to determine how to approach them. That mentality takes away the victim mentality. It annihilates helplessness. Because once you realize that you're in control, you stop searching for someone to save you. You save yourself. Winners don't wait for inspiration. They create energy. They don't wait for someone to say it's okay. They make a decision.
Yeah.
They don't sidestep the difficult conversations. They move toward them because ownership isn't comfortable, but it matters. It's what gets the needle moving. It's what develops character. It's what turns frustration into focus, confusion into action, and failure into success. When you own it, you elevate your standards. You no longer accept laziness, distraction, and mediocrity in yourself. You examine the outcomes in your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, and you say, if I want different, I must do different. That's the magic of ownership. It's real. It's authentic. And it changes everything. The instant you cease excuses and begin making changes, everything starts to change. Your mindset changes. Your energy changes. Your outcome changes. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. And that's what winners know. The world doesn't owe you anything, but it will react to the amount of ownership you bring into it. Bring complete ownership and you'll tap into complete potential. Bring half-hearted effort and you'll receive half-hearted results. The decision is always yours. Habits determine your ceiling, not motivation. Motivation is wonderful, but it's not dependable. It's as changeable as the wind. One day it's there in full force, and another day it just vanishes. The issue is too many people construct their goals from motivation rather than constructing systems and habits that function irrespective of how they feel. Motivation is what sets you in motion, but habits are what sustain you. The most successful in any profession are not necessarily the most enthusiastic or the most vibrant person. Every single day are the most consistent. And that consistency is a result of the habits they have created. You don't level up to your potential, you drop down to your systems. If your habits are sloppy, your performance will be uneven. If your habits are solid, your performance becomes second nature. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to fight with yourself in the morning. You simply do the work because you're who you've become. That's the strength of habits. They define who you are. The person who trains every day, studies each night, communicates with clarity, and keeps promises isn't relying on a surge of emotion. They're simply living out the habits they've formed over time. Success is not an instant. It's not a single huge triumph. It's the product of daily little choices. The habit of rising early. The habit of reading rather than scrolling. The habit of scheduling your day rather than coasting through it. These aren't theatrical moves, but they build theatrical outcomes over time. Because habits compound. One little thing today, if done every day, can change your whole future. But most people don't do the little things because they're waiting for big emotions. They're waiting for that ideal moment, that ideal plan, that ideal motivation. But the best ones don't wait. They take action. They create habits that propel them forward, whether they like it or not. Creating habits is a patient and disciplined process. It's not always exciting. It's not always fun, but it's always worth it. Because once a habit is ingrained, it liberates your mental energy for greater decisions. You don't have to think about doing the right thing. You just do it. And when you scale that across the domains of your life, your health, your thinking, your career, you begin to see exponential growth. Not because you worked harder, but because you worked smarter. Because you constructed something that operates even when life is crazy. The best don't rely on motivation. They honor it, but they don't count on it. They may employ it as a spark, but their flame is from within. From the habits they've conditioned through repetition, through discipline, through opting for consistency over emotion. They know that emotion is momentary, but habit is enduring. That's why they don't care so much about being inspired and more about creating systems that ensure progress. Because when the hype wears off, and it will, your habits determine if you stick with it or not. So if you wish to lift your ceiling, begin by lifting your habits. Don't wait for a good day. Make one. Don't wait to feel strong, exercise strength. Don't wait to feel clear. Cultivate clarity into your daily routine. That's how actual transformation occurs. One choice at a time, repeated until it becomes you. Until success is no longer something you pursue. It's something you embody. Perching like the best is the starting point to actually becoming it. Before anyone recognizes your name, before anything shows up, before the admiration, the finances, or the accolades, and the behaving as if you belong. Not pretending, not acting, but deciding to conduct yourself with the attitude, the routines, and the accountability of someone already there. Because identity always comes before outcome. You don't become successful and then act like it. You act successful and then become it. This isn't about pride. It's about alignment. Aligning your behavior every day with the future you want for yourself. The best don't wait to feel like champions. They're champions every day. They bring energy, they speak with conviction, they think with clarity, and they live with urgency. Not because someone is looking, but because that's who they've chosen to be. They don't wait for outcomes to make them right. They let actions make them right. When you're behaving like the best, you start rewiring your self-image. You no longer notice yourself as being behind, but now you see yourself as being becoming. That in itself turns everything around. You begin taking different actions. You hang around different people. You're making different choices because you're no longer responding to yesterday. You're responding to your vision. You're living today as the person you will be tomorrow. And the amazing thing is, the more you behave like the best version of yourself, the more natural it gets. What originally was such an effort, dressing nicer, talking with confidence, showing up with discipline, before long becomes your new norm. Your identity starts to grow. your habits start to change, your expectations start to increase, not because you were coerced, but because you chose to act into your potential instead of waiting for permission. This mentality also shifts the way others perceive you. People react to energy. They react to posture. They react to conviction. When you behave like the best, you signal others that you're serious, that you're dependable, that you're prepared. And that opens doors. It opens doors not because you pleaded with them, but because you set yourself up to walk through them. You became the kind of person that is deserving of trust, deserving of leadership, deserving of more. Too many wait for the feeling of readiness before they take courageous action. The truth is, readiness isn't a feeling. It's a choice. You choose to speak up. You decide to work, to hone your craft, to conduct yourself in excellence, long before someone gives you a title or a stage. In doing so, you begin to produce results. Because when action and identity come together, momentum develops. And when momentum develops, confidence. And when confidence develops, everything shifts. Becoming the best doesn't mean putting on an act about being something you're not. It's about choosing to be who you're becoming. It's about showing up in the version of you that you know is in there. The version that's dedicated, prepared, responsible, disciplined, and ready. The version that doesn't wait for life to give them a participation trophy, but instead lives in a manner that makes one worthy of them each day. That's how greatness is constructed, not accidentally, but intentionally, not waiting, but doing. Not by wishing, but by becoming. The path to becoming better doesn't begin with cheers. It begins with quiet, in little habits, in daily discipline, in personal expectations nobody else even notices. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to have the ideal plan. You need posture, you need motion, you need accountability. That is how faith is developed. That is how momentum is generated. Stop waiting for motivation. Create habits that make greatness happen automatically. Stop pointing fingers. Own up. Demonstrate to the world how someone who's already committed to winning thinks, talks, and moves. Because your habits are actually your true ceiling, not your dreams. When you start behaving like the best, something shifts inside of you. You start making better choices. You arrive with better energy. And as you do that, the world reacts, not to what you want to do, but to what you are doing, to what you are standing for, to what you are holding to. Perform at the highest level, not to impress them, but to be the best version of yourself. That's how it begins. That's how it always begins. You're not waiting to be great. You're becoming it. One action at a time. So act like it.